This week on Movement Monday, I talked about the hip list as part of the beginning process of backing your hips up and stacking your body for optimal core engagement. So I just want to expand a little bit on hip listing. It's in my free workbook that I hope you all have, and it's also a big part of the Short and Sweet program that many of you have. So we're going to just review the standard hip list, L-I-S-T, and that means that we list over to one side. We have more of the weight in the heel. We're getting tall out of that hip, and we're not getting lazy in the joint. We're really firmly holding. And sometimes I do this just to make sure that I'm lighter on that foot. And then we're just going to do the standard list. So now I'm going to get the opposite leg straight. And as I press down, press, I'm not using my low back over here. I'm just flexing my heel and noticing that because I've pressed down so much. And now I might even need some balancing help, and maybe a wall that would be closer or a countertop would be great. And if things are good today, maybe the balancing will be great. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So the standard hip list, again, sometimes I start just making sure I've got it all together and my hip hasn't journeyed out to the side. So I use the kickstand in the beginning and then pressing down, flexing this foot, noticing the more I press down, the more this opposite hip just lifts a little bit, but I'm not using my back. More of my weight's in my heel. Feeling my belly also supporting me, and then I come back down. So now we can advance this to using the list while doing something else. So one great thing, and I'm going to show it to you from this side, is that I can begin to get ready to be able to do something like a Warrior 3 by using the list first, thinking about pressing down and bringing my leg behind me. But a really nice place to start is actually to start with a kickstand behind you, and you still list and feel the weight in this heel. So notice I had to move my hip back so I could really feel the weight in this heel. And now we could just use this as an exercise where we're just doing a hip hinge. So it's almost like a single leg deadlift. It's a variation on that. I might be feeling really comfortable and have less and less of my toe on the ground. But notice that your standing leg, this hip is really working. This glute is really working. And I'm making sure this is a hip hinge going in one piece. And then you could switch to the other side. So again, sometimes using a wall to get yourself set up. And of course, you can use a wall for the whole thing. You could even get closer to a wall in front of you and do it this way. You're still backing the hip up and feeling the work. And then maybe you let go. But you're still, and I'm a little wobbly all of a sudden on this side, and that's okay. Wobbles are part of natural life, and we want to be able to react to the wobbles. So the next thing I might do with the hip list is I might use it to work my hip flexors. Even though sometimes people say my hip flexors are tight, that doesn't mean you don't want to strengthen them. I know, think about that. So I might stand near a wall, list into this leg, so I'm standing using this leg, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about using these muscles, the hip flexor, and I'm just going to raise my straight leg. I'm not trying to get over ambitious and lift it all the way to here, because I know on me, if I did that, my spine would change and it would start looking like this, and my knee would get super bent. So we're doing this, and if it tugs and you're just so tight that this doesn't feel good, then maybe you do want to do it like this. So there's two options right there. And then we'll go to the other side. You can still hold on to the wall. You can see about making sure your hip is over your heel. See if it feels good. Use that exhale to help you lift. So this is your hip flexors, and if that doesn't feel good, you can do it this way or this way. So the skill of knowing how to hip list, stacking your hip over your heel, knowing how to use your breath and your core, and be able to do that without sagging into your joints and your ligaments is an excellent way to start moving into more complex movements. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you next week.